Welcome. How's everybody today? We're here to talk Panama. Now, Panama was probably high on my list when I first started my planning for a world tour. In fact, it was almost so high on my list, I thought maybe I should do some extreme research on Panama and maybe I'd like to live there. Well, I did extreme research on Panama. And there's a lot of pros to Panama. And there's a few cons to Panama, in my opinion, for me personally, anyway. But if you're, especially from the United States of America or from Canada, and you want to move somewhere warmer, well, Panama may just be the most how do I say this? The least dramatic change for moving out of the United States to another country to live that there is. First of all, Panama is highly aligned with the United States. They are based on the US dollar. They have 110-volt electricity that uses the same plugs. You can move to Panama, and a lot of people do speak English. There is a lot of expats who have moved to Panama. Some of the coolest things about Panama is it's very close to the equator. And based in Central America, what some people don't know is Panama hasn't been hit with a hurricane in 150 years. They're in this dead zone of hurricanes go here, hurricanes go there, but they keep turning and they never go to Panama because of the shape of the winds and the shape of the land, and it just doesn't happen. So Panama is pretty cool. But there's so many things to take into consideration if you're going to Panama. And one of the things, for example, is what about the quality of life? What about the cost of living? Well, let me tell you, my research says Panama is way less expensive than living in the United States, but it's not really an inexpensive country anymore because there's so many people from other countries expatriating into that country that they've actually, in those areas that sort of lean towards expats, the prices are a little higher than they would have been before this all happened. But in the expat areas, you've got the highest number of people who speak great English. There's a whole Western flair to it. It's almost too Western for my take, but amazing weather and amazing nature. There's a place called Boquete, Panama. Every day of the year, let me say it again, every day of the year, the high temperatures between 72 and 83 degrees. Almost every day of the year, the low temperature is like 64 to 72. The lowest temperature on record there, I think, was 58 degrees. And that's because you're up into the mountains. Panama is shaped like this. It's got mountains in the middle and it goes down to the seas on both sides. The lower down the hill you go, the hotter it gets. In Panama City, you can just add 10 degrees to the temperatures every day of the year. and you can add 10 degrees to the lows at night every day of the year. If you want to get cooler, you just go drive up the hill. You can leave Boquete and go downhill 10 minutes, and you can raise the temperature 2 or 3 degrees, both at night and in the day. You go up the hill a little bit more, and you can lower the temperature 2 or 3 degrees. So you can pick towns all around that elevation, and you can get the most amazing weather. Boquete is called the land of eternal spring. Spring flowers bloom 365 days a year because the climate just stays like springtime all the time. Beautiful place. But there's so much, there's just so much to learn about Panama. You've got different kinds of visas and friendly nation visas, and there's Panama City, and there's Boquete, and you can rent, you can get a residence permit in Panama very easily. It's not really hard to do, and you can therefore have long-term residence there. Now, for me personally, I invested a lot of money. I spent probably $1,000 researching Panama. I really thought it was going to be really high on my list. And I still will go to Panama when I leave the United States, and I'll probably spend a month there, maybe even 2. Maybe a month in Panama City and maybe a month up by Boquete. Now, the one thing you should know about Panama is it's volcanic. Most of the beaches in Panama, most of the beaches are black sand beaches, which is hot. Don't walk barefoot on black sand unless you got some tough feet. I mean, that burn your little toesies. So anyway, those are some of the things you think about, and we can get more in depth after all this live stream is early in this channel's career. I'm hoping that YouTube and Facebook and Twitter grabs some followers somewhere, and they watch the video on a delayed basis and come over to the channel and start chipping in and asking some questions that I'd love to be able to answer. Because like I said, I spent easily $1,000 of real money just researching Panama before ever thinking about going there in time and money. And that's the whole thing I'm trying to pass along is you only get so many trips around the sun, so you might as well maximize the time you have here. If you want to learn more about the channel, please click on the link that's going to pop up pretty soon. And remember, you only get so many trips around the sun, so it's about time to go have some fun. See you next time.